Come on. Come on. No. Oh, God. Too late for this. Way too late for this.
Yeah, right. Too late? Sure. Eat this.
Hi. Welcome in. It's different. A little different. The overlay's different. Colors are different. Intro is different. Mike looks different. So
what the hell happened, man?
Also not even called Mike. And apparently now he has glasses. So
on my better days.
Yep, on his better days. Yep. This is a very special episode of Storymoders Podcast because Mike has left on vacation. So I've got I'm pointing at the wrong side because the screens are backwards. So
no.
Yeah, got our good friend Gage here. He and I have been kind of talking about doing a sort of music podcast, trying to figure out a good format. And I reached out to him with this idea, and he was on board. So Gage, how are you today?
I think we landed on something cool. Yeah, I'm great. I've got a lot of a specific artist in my head because we've been listening to a lot of it lately in prep for this podcast.
Oh yeah. Yeah, a lot more than I've listened to in a few years with things that I haven't listened to in a long time.
100%. Yeah,
and some I'll fucking never listen to again, I'll be honest.
There was a ladder there. I made the mistake of going all through. We'll get to who and what and where and why. But I made the mistake of listening to the beginning of the catalog all one day and then the end of the catalog all the next day. And there was a little bit of suffering at some point. But
yeah. So we're calling this, and this was Gage's name, and if I'm mispronouncing the way that you want me to pronounce this, I apologize. The Discograph Podcast.
Hell yeah! I think you nailed it. Yeah,
or
Discograph. Discograph. Yeah.
Hey, it goes into the word discography, which just means like an artist's entire catalog, from beginning to now, or beginning to end in, John Lennon's case. So the reason that it's called this is Gage and I are making playlists for one specific artist, and this is going to be quote unquote episode 1 because we're trying to see how it feels, see the vibes, see if we like it, see if anybody else likes it. But
call it the pilot.
The pilot episode, yeah. It's what I call this is a backdoor pilot, which sounds dirty.
It does sound dirty.
Yeah, so a pilot in like TV terms is when they want to make a new show and they're like, hey, here's money to go make like the first episode so you can show us what it's like. And then they make that one single episode, give it to studios, and they say yes or no, and they pick it up or not. A backdoor pilot is what this is, where it's an existing show, and then there's just that one random episode that makes no fucking sense. Like, there's the episode of Bones that was a backdoor pilot for The Finder, which was just completely different characters, and it was just an episode of The Finder.
Yep.
And then that got picked up for a series, and they replaced some of the cast. But, so yeah, this is going to be a special episode of Storymoders Podcast, because once again, our good friend Mike is on vacation. He is drinking all the goddamn Malort in the world and sending us pictures of... Oh yeah, that was the thing he told me. He's like, I'm going to pick up Malort, and then we're going to do a podcast together in the same room drinking. So my first thought was I reached out to Jacob, and I was like, let's do a Storymoders Odd Valley crossover, and he was like, yes. So, yeah. But yeah, this show that we're trying is called the Discograph Podcast, and each episode we're going to pick one artist that we know ahead of time, an artist that both of us like. I think that has to be obviously.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, depending on how it goes, depending maybe down the road, if we're running thin, we could like do a discovery episode just to see how that goes, like where we check out someone that we both haven't listened to much. But I think for now, like kind of like the quintessential, like artist is going to be the most fun.
Yeah. So this first episode...
And I also think having a varied long or semi-long discography is also kind of important. Like if you've only had 2 albums, like what's the fun really?
So for this, actually really quick, and I meant to pull this up earlier. So this was this kind of playlist was actually something that I thought of years ago.
Nice.
And I'm trying to see. Yep, I've got it. So back in 2019, I had the idea of this type of playlist where artists with a large catalog, with hopefully different projects, different bands, different things that they've done, go through their discography, just project by project, album by album, in sequential release date order, and just pick one song from each one and make a playlist of that. So instead of just a greatest hits, like, hey, here's all the singles that came out. So there's 4 from here, 2 from here, 1 from here. It's just pick out one song from each album, make it into a playlist, and then when you listen back to it, it's just like it's going through an entire career in one playlist, and it's not, if they change sounds from one album to the next, it's boom, then it's a new sound, and then maybe they were featured on a song, or maybe they did this. So I actually made this type of playlist back in 2019 for an artist called Charlie Simpson.
Cool.
I don't know if you've heard of him, Gage.
It sounds really familiar, and I bet you if you name the bands that he's been a part of, then maybe.
You ever heard of Fight Star?
Okay, yeah, sure. All right, right on. I don't know what other works he would have done besides that, but that's
cool. So Charlie Simpson, his solo stuff is kind of like folksy. Fight Star is a post-hardcore band.
Yeah, that's
really heavy at times, screaming. But he made his start in the band Busted.
Okay, all right.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea. I just, sometimes you don't know band members.
No, exactly. So I was like, I want to make a playlist of just the beginning, like when he was in Busted, through the Fight Star years, and just kind of listen to that back and just see what it's like. So I made a playlist of, I think it's 20 some odd songs, and then just grabbed some other things that he was featured on, and then listening back to that playlist, I'm like, oh shit, this is actually not a bad idea. This is a cool way for people with large catalogs. Once again, if they have 2 albums, that's an EP.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Gage, who did we choose for this voyage, this debut episode?
Well, a while back, I think I had done a tier list of semi-drunkenly. I got home from a friend's party, and no one was at the house. My wife was out of town. This was before I had a kid, and I was like, let me just get on there and talk some shit about Green Day. And not shit, but talk them up and talk some shit. And so I made a kind of a drunken tier list. Had some recording issues, and so I actually had to I didn't end up keeping it out. I did the Twitch stream and had people in my chat, which was fine. Mm-hmm. But there was some audio desync, whatever. It was a hullabaloo. I wasn't doing very good producing. As I said, I was kind of tipsy. So later on, you reached out and you're like, we need to do that, and then we just decided that this would be an even better platform to go in. So we're doing Billy Joe Armstrong specifically because his while I'm sure that the other members of the band have probably done some other things, I think that he's got the most prolific and storied career of the three of them. I mean, I know Mike Dirnt's probably done some other stuff. I don't know about Trey, but I
know Trey's been in some other bands, and I don't mean to say this as a negative, but Trey's obviously the drummer of Green Day. Trey Cool is the drummer. Mike Dirnt plays bass, backup vocals. Yep. Billy Joe Armstrong, guitar, lead vocals. So when I, once again, don't mean to say this in a negative way, but when the drummer is doing a side thing, unless it's a very, very special drummer, maybe another band that we might do at some point, it's okay, yeah, you're really good at playing the drums, but do you have really your own sound, or are you just fucking really good at these songs that you're doing?
Yeah, totally. I think I know who you're talking about, but I could see potentially a Travis Barker.
Yeah, they're right underneath you on the overlay that you made. Blink-182.
Hell yeah. Yeah, just because the bands that he's been a part of have been so vastly different. Yeah. So I could see that. I'm sure Trey Cool's doing Trey Cool wherever he goes, which is excellent, by the way. He's one of the best punk drummers of all time.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But it's not like he's going to be that varied if he's doing something else. So we're doing Billy Joe Armstrong. Green Day is a seminal band for me growing up. Was certainly a bridge into harder, faster music for me. I mean, I think I found a bunch of punk at once, but Green Day resonated with a way where, they were a little lighter, they were a little more melancholy. They had some love songs, which not a lot of other punk and hardcore that I quickly got into after that was doing. So it was a good kind of transition in middle school into getting into this type of music, I think. While also simultaneously getting into like Metallica at the same time, but that's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he's a good way to start because Green Day has had a fuck ton of music, and then he's had some solo projects and some side projects.
Oh yeah.
Some kind of super group stuff alongside. So it's gonna be fun to go through.
Yeah, and when we thought of Green Day, so I think when we talked about Green Day, you'd actually done your tier list for Radiohead.
Oh yeah, that came
you
out.
had the Radiohead tier list, and then I think at the end of that you were like, oh, maybe like if you guys like this, we'll do another one. Maybe we'll do Green Day. And I was like, when you do fucking Green Day, you let me know and we'll do it.
Yeah, 100%.
And then we'd come back to that every once in a while. But when I reached out to do Green Day for this, and I was like, yeah, I'll make the list of kind of everything that they do, and we'll just pick one thing from every single project. I made that list, and it is like 50 plus different things.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. So what we've done here, and I'll pull it up here in just a moment, is we're essentially sticking to the Green Day full-length albums in either compilations that have unique songs to them. Like they've got a couple of greatest hits. Those greatest hits albums have unique songs to them. Things that were unreleased, so they put them on there. And then just some other non-album singles that they put out. A couple of covers are in here. But the other thing that we'll do, and I'll pull that up. Before we jump into this, I want to get a little more of your history with Green Day. Have you seen them live? Like when do you remember learning about Green Day?
Sure. So I used to commute I used to live in the Bay Area, and they are very much a Bay Area band. And I used to commute from a town called Petaluma, California, which is in Sonoma County, like the very bottom of Sonoma County, to San Rafael, California for school every day. San Rafael is just above San Francisco, maybe 20 minutes away from SF, and probably even closer to Berkeley, which is where, it's about equidistant to Berkeley, which is where they're from. Oakland, Berkeley border. It's kind of, it blends together. And so I remember that my friend's dad, who at the time must have been probably like in his 30s, but he was really into Green Day. And so he would play Dookie all the time this was when I was in like 5th grade. And I remember my friend Max and we used to get in trouble for singing saying methamphetamine in class, essentially. or like masturbation, when masturbation's lost its fun type of stuff. And like we wouldn't swear because we knew that would get us in trouble, but we didn't realize that
you didn't really know what else you were saying.
Yeah, exactly. And so I know it must have been like grade school, because I knew we were getting in trouble for saying things that we shouldn't say from singing Green Day in class or on the playground. But I think I truly like listened to it on my own accord. Probably in middle school, 6th, 7th grade, something like that. I somehow have not seen Green Day. There were times in my life where if you would have asked, I would have called them my favorite band. There was one night where they played a secret show in SF, and my friends found out about it, and I just happened to be, I went snowboarding that morning, and I was so mad. I was like, fuck, I should have gone.
This is why you never go snowboarding.
This is why I never go snowboarding. And it was good snowboarding, but I was really mad that I almost should have just turned right back around, but I didn't find out until that night. So it's definitely on my bucket list.
That's kind of what a secret show is like, so.
Yeah, no doubt.
It'd be weird if they're like, we're doing a secret show in a month. Tickets are on sale tomorrow.
Yeah, I was just bummed because my friends were like, oh yeah, we can go. And my buddy was like one of the booking agents for the venue. And anyways, it would have been epic. But they are playing it here in Portland, Oregon in September. And I'm going to maybe try and go depending on what my budget is. It's obviously like a stadium show.
Do it.
Yeah, I should do it. What about you?
So I growing up in elementary school, and then for not middle school because I thought it was fucking stupid, and I'm gonna use the word that we used then that I don't use anymore, gay. Yeah. And then back in high school when I was like, whatever, I can do what I want. I was fucking really into fucking NSYNC. I fucking love NSYNC. Okay, I still do. But once
Nothing
again,
wrong with
in
that.
middle school, it's like, oh no, you can't like that. That's bleh, you know.
Yeah, totally.
I've got a fucking NSYNC. You can't see it because it's on the other side. I went to a yard sale years ago, and somebody was selling one of the like the seat cushions that you can buy at a concert. So it's like the
Oh, yeah.
NSYNC Summer Tour 2000.
Wow.
It's actually a show that I was at. It's crazy. It was my first concert ever, NSYNC. But so I you know, in elementary school was really into that, and then in middle school, that's where like my older brother, I heard him listening to Blink-182 at some point, like Enema of the State and everything. He was a few years older, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then it was about 2001 ish. Let's see, yeah, 2001. Back when people actually watched TV, I was watching TV, and they had a trailer for International Super Hits, the Green Day Greatest Hits album.
Nice.
Which-
Heck yeah.
As someone who I'd heard, you know, like Brains 2 and stuff, I couldn't tell you the name of any of the songs, you know, but there were songs that I'd heard growing up, and I heard some of those in the commercials, and probably didn't even realize it was a Greatest Hits thing. So I remember I had that in the back of my mind, and then one day my mom and I, we went out and she was like, I'll buy you a CD, but it's got to be something that doesn't have the explicit language thing on it.
Sure, of course.
And in my mind, it was either I'll get the clean version of Take Off Your Pants and Jacket by Blink, because at that point my mom was driving me everywhere and she would let me pick music, but I couldn't play that because, you know, all the songs on
stuff.
there.
Yeah.
Or I'll grab this International Super Hits, this Green Day album, whatever, you know, and see if I like this at all. Because I was really into Blink. Green Day is obviously, you know, 3-piece pop punk band. And yeah, grabbed that and just fucking loved it. Didn't know.
It's a flashy album cover too. I remember also being a kid and being like, wow, this feels important or whatever. Yeah, it's funny.
But like so Blink kind of opened my eyes to that sort of music, and then International Super Hits was how I got into Green Day. And then I actually still have this from fucking 22 years ago.
Damn.
So my first concert was NSYNC. It was at a stadium here in Utah. My mom brought me to it. It was incredible. My first show that I went to without my parents was probably the greatest pop punk tour in the history of the world. And it happened in 2002.
Damn.
It was called Pop Disaster. And it was Blink-182 and Green Day.
Wow.
A few different openers, you know, for the tour. It was Sugar Cult. So I think my show had Sugar Cult, Jimmy Eat World.
Fuck yeah.
Or actually, no, I think it was Newfound Glory.
Okay, yeah.
And then
kind of
Green Day and then Blink-182.
Wow, that's
Like,
epic.
That is a stupid fucking lineup.
Yeah.
And that was my first concert. And the first thing that I bought there, because I was like, I want a shirt that has tour dates on it. Blink didn't have any. So I ended up getting
Oh, that's fucking rad.
this.
Look at that weird little logo. I love it.
Yeah, what the fuck is this?
The weird dragon. That's tight.
It's like a dragon and like fucking just stereotypical Japanese things.
Yeah, it looks like
And then-
they're trying to make a dojo t-shirt or something.
Yeah. And then on the back, it's got the tour dates, Pop Disaster.
That's sick.
And I remember pulling this out a little while ago to think, oh yeah, that was like what, like 2005, 2006? And that's when I saw it, 2002.
Holy
in Salt Lake
heck,
City.
Man. That's awesome.
May
dude.
3rd, 2002.
Wow.
This shirt's 22 years old.
That's amazing. I love
Like,
that.
It's
Do I
insane.
have any? I think I might have a shirt that old. Well, I don't know. I don't know about that old. I had an Outside Lands shirt from 2007, which was the first Outside Lands in San Francisco.
Is that
That
just like
might
a
be the old-
Is that like a multi-day festival or?
Yeah, it's a multiple day festival. It's not like a sleepover, like camping or anything, but yeah, it's 3 days in San Francisco. It's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite festivals for sure. It's in Golden Gate Park, so it's kind of iconic looking.
Oh, dope, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Well-
I've seen Green Day. I saw them obviously then. Saw them on the American Idiot tour.
Nice.
And then I actually saw them. I remember now. I think my brother won me the tickets, but for a year or two there, Pepsi was doing like these like random shows. It was like Pepsi Live shows, and they did one up in Park City here in Utah. And you could only get tickets on the radio by winning tickets. My brother won me tickets, and it was Green Day and Good Charlotte. And it was right before American Idiot came out. So I saw that, and then shortly after the American Idiot tour, and then the 21st Century Breakdown tour, and then I didn't see them again until I saw them play a few songs last year, and it's my biggest concert regret last year. So we went to When We Were Young, and the two headliners there, full circle, it was Blink and Green Day. So we watched Blink, and I was a fucking dumbass, and I didn't eat for like the entire day. And then by the time Green Day came on,
in the sun,
my blood sugar is dead. I can't get anything to eat, and I'm just like, we gotta go.
Yeah, I get it.
Go.
Yeah, dude, going to all day festival or all day lineups these days is, it's a taxing endeavor.
But in a couple weeks, we are flying to Boston, to Fenway Park, to see Green Day, Rancid, Smashing Pumpkins, Linda's, I think. So
yeah, I think
that's a tour going to Portland. Yeah,
it's the same tour. I think I'm seeing them with if I'm gonna go try and go. I'm gonna make it happen. But yeah, I think Pumpkins are playing. I don't know if Rancid is playing that stop. But yeah, I think it's Linda's maybe. But yeah.
I think Linda's are like the opener that's on it. But
yeah,
I think the whole tour, unless they had to drop off for like the whole thing in America is Green Day, Rancid, Smashing Pumpkins. Like those two aren't kind of trading off. It's
nice,
kind of those three, and it's the Saviors tour. But then they're just playing Dookie and American Idiot,
sick,
back to back, and then another set of other songs. So
that's awesome. Hell yeah.
Fucking Fenway.
I mean, that's great. That'll be awesome. I've been to Fenway. I'm from Boston, so I've been to Fenway before. But I haven't ever seen them live, but I watched a lot of the American Idiot concert DVD that they put out, and they're definitely showmen for sure. Yeah.
Like
they put on a killer show.
When We Were Young last year, the way they had the stage set up for the main stages was like right next to each other, so like band A would play, they would finish up, and then just a few minutes later band B is playing, and then while they're playing they're setting up band C, just back and back and back.
Yeah,
so
totally. That's amazing.
Like Blink ended, and then a few minutes later they started playing just music over the PA, because Green Day's got a really fucking long ass intro whenever you see them in concert. Played a couple songs, and they played Blitzkrieg Bop by the Ramones.
Cool.
And as that started, their bunny, mascot came out and was like hyping up the crowd, and the whole crowd was singing. And then it went into I think a Queen song, and everybody was singing to that. And then Green Day came out and just like started with American Idiot, and that fuck, dude, go awesome. Wherever the fuck they go to in Portland, go to that fucking concert.
I'll go.
Yeah,
I think I got some buddies coming, so we'll make it happen. Well, we got a lot to get through. Should we get into it?
We do. Yeah. So let me pull up the playlist here, or the list that we've got. I'm going to switch over. Cool. So it's an Excel sheet, as y'all can see.
A very nicely done one, by the way.
Thank you. I used different colors, and I used different sorting ways. It's nice.
I liked it.
But so what you see here is there's lines 2 through 24 are the main lists that we're picking from. And I Fought the Law, which we'll get to in a sec. There are a couple of albums, mainly the first two, 1039 Smooth Out Slappy Hours, and then Kerplunk, where instead of going through like the individual, I think 1000 Hours EP, Smooth EP, Slappy EP, we grabbed the compilation that just has all of them in one, and we're just picking one song from that instead of 3 different songs. And then the Kerplunk, the bonus tracks on Kerplunk are from their very first Sweet Children EP. So once again, instead of picking one thing from that and then something from Kerplunk, we just grabbed that.
Yep.
And then I put I Fought the Law on this list as a non-album song, because I've had it as one of their singles for a long time. I didn't realize until just today that it is only on Apple Music. It's not a Spotify song, so I think Gage was trying to like find it for his list and could not find it on Spotify. But yeah, that is what we're going to refer to as a wild card. So as we established, let me scroll down here a bit. So now on the stream, sorry you can't see this, Gage. On the stream you can see all the other things that we have down here. So these are all side projects or songs that they guested on, or solo stuff.
Covers. There's like
Covers, a
Christmas
few covers
album.
that they never actually released as like a single, because some of the things in the main list are covers. So Gage and I will each have 3 wild cards. Actually, Gage, do you want 4? Because I kind of have I Fought the Law.
It's all right. Three is great
Okay.
for me. I think that'll cover a good chunk of it.
So we each have 3 wild cards, and we have our wild cards that we're going to throw up. Gage, if you want to pull yours up.
Yeah, you got your shirt. I got my little dog tag.
So what we're going to do is, as we're going through the list, and we're going to go through these release date by release date. Okay.
Actually, you know what? I do want 4. Sorry.
Okay, not a problem. As we go through these, album by album, by release date, whenever one of the songs that we have as a wild card comes up, we're going to throw up the wild card flag, and that's going to go into, that person's list, and I'll move it up in the listing, and we'll, make it look kind of fine. And then at the end of this, we'll actually make these playlists over on Spotify or Apple Music and post them, and then take a listen to it. See if you like this idea of this kind of career spanning playlist to go through the years in one playlist, and let us know your thoughts. So
hell yeah, we want to hear them.
All right, so Gage, are you ready?
I'm born ready. Hell yeah.
Born ready? Are you throwing up the wild card immediately?
No, I didn't mean to. Sorry.
Okay.
I didn't scroll all the way up. It's 1991, 1994.
Yep.
I'll wait. Yeah.
So
let's do 10,000 or 10,039 smooth out slappy hours.
Yep.
I love this record. I don't know when this came in. I also started, I think, with Dookie, listening in the car. But my first album that I owned of theirs was indeed International Super Hits, because I think it just came out at the perfect time for us to be buying CDs.
Yeah.
But I quickly found one. I think it was actually not 10,039 Smooth. It was called just something. I think it was just called 1,000 Smooth or something. There's like a weird version of it. Anyways,
1039 Smoothed Out Slappy Hours. Let me pull up on Wiki here. It is essentially just 3 of their EPs together. Mm-hmm. It is 39 Smooth, that came out in 1990, 1,000 Hours, that came out in 1989, and
Crazy.
Slappy, that came out in 1990. So this album is essentially a compilation that's just those 3 EPs put together.
Yeah. So I had a tape on cassette tape of this. But what's just interesting to me is maybe it's just because Spotify like added some extra bonus tracks or something like that. Mm-hmm. But there was some tracks on there that on my tape that I didn't remember there being on there. So that was just interesting. But you never know. Sometimes there's weird releases like that. Especially on cassette tape back in the day, because they could only fit so much. But I'm gonna start off with my pick, and this is a weird one because it's like specifically not very Green Day-ish in a lot of ways. My song is gonna be Rest. Which is like this slow ballad. It's kind of about a breakup or about like some girl that you, I don't know, maybe like aren't supposed to be with, that you can't be with for very long. So it's kind of like drawl and drony and but it's good. It's kind of, I used to love it as like a sad song when I was in 7th grade or whatever, 8th grade, and it's different and it stuck out with me. But I think it's one of those songs that you can't really believe that a 16-year-old wrote. You know what I mean? So that's cool.
Well, I mean, 16-year-olds have fucking all of the emotions in them. They don't know how to explain them unless they go to an English class and their teacher makes them listen to poetry or read poetry, and then they're like, I'm going to write these things.
Yeah, totally.
So my first song on this playlist is going to be a little unconventional. And I'm going to go with Knowledge, which is actually a cover.
Hell yeah.
So Knowledge is a cover of Operation Ivy. Their one and only album they had. Knowledge was one of the songs on it. They broke up. A couple of members went over and formed Rancid. Billy Joe Armstrong was actually a member of Rancid for a very short period of time. Didn't record anything. But the reason I'm picking Knowledge is going back to the first time I saw Green Day. And every time I saw Green Day, I think until maybe the last 2 times, so a few times that I saw them during the show, I once again, first time I'd actually seen a live band really like that during the show they were playing Knowledge, and then they pulled up 3 people from the audience to come and play guitar, bass, and drums.
That's so cool.
Like, they're playing the song and like, who knows this? Because it's a very like simple song, and people in the crowd just know. Okay, yeah, when I go to a Green Day show, I'm gonna get up front. I know the guitarist for Knowledge. Bring me up there. So Billy Joe brought people up, grabbed the dude with the guitar, gave him a big old kiss. They played the song, finished it out, gave the dude the guitar, and it was something that stayed with me for my entire life. So
that's amazing. That's so cool.
So even though it's not a Green Day song, I mean, Knowledge is one of my best Green Day memories.
Totally.
So
and I fully found Green Day before I found Op Ivy. So I until I heard the Op Ivy version, I was like, oh, that's just Green Day. And they do have, it's also kind of a beginning of, we'll see later on this list, maybe not, but I'll talk about it in honorable mentions. They typically do like a kind of jokey, weird version of a song like throughout their discography. So like, this is very like, all I know is that I don't know. They kind of just fuck around.
This isn't like a straight up cover of Knowledge. Like, this is their own kind of spin on the song. It's not the song itself. When they played it live, sounds more like the original. But this recording is not what it sounds like. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a drunken like bar singing or something like that.
It's like a sing song type thing. Yeah.
I do like it. Hell yeah. All right, cool. Well, there's a lot of great, just to shout out a few great tunes on there. I Was There is really good. Going to Pasalacqua, I think it's how you say it. 1,000 Hours. And then the titular song Green Day is on here, all about smoking weed for the first couple times. So that's a great one too.
If you didn't know that's where the name Green Day came from.
Having a day where you just get stoned all day. There it is.
It's a great fucking day.
It is a great day. Especially when you don't have adult responsibilities yet. Yes. Kerplunk. And bonus tracks.
And the bonus tracks. So mine on Kerplunk here is One of My Lies.
Oh, nice.
And honestly, I was listening to kind of all these back to back, like all the albums back to back recently again for this, and One of My Lies was just a song that I kind of kept going back to. It was just catchy as shit. Just got stuck in my head.
It is.
I
heard it on a recent thing that they put out. I want to say it's like a Dookie demo disc or something.
Oh yeah, it was I think they just did like a Dookie 30th anniversary thing with a bunch of bonus shit.
Yeah, they had a radio interview that they did in some Berkeley or Oakland radio station, and like they don't actually play the song, but they're like they're like, oh yeah, this is like gonna be on a new album or something. It's like anyways, they reference One of My Lies.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's a great song.
Crazy.
It's it's again one of those things where it's like Green Day had it from the very beginning. I mean, I typically for some reason I listened to 1039 Smooth more than I listened to Kerplunk back in the day. But you go back and you're like, oh yeah, this is fucking Green Day. I'm gonna go with a song again, kind of an atypical Green Day song, but I just think it's really well written and it's got great lyrics. It's called No One Knows. A little slower, also a little sentimental. I just think it's really funny when like 16 and 18-year-olds like reflect on their very short life and are like all sentimental about it. But it's honestly just, it sticks with me. And then honorable mention, shout out to Christy Rose and One for the Razorbacks. Also really good songs on there.
Yeah, and what I'm going to do here, I'm going to pull up just each album, kind of going from now. So for me, once again, going back, Dumb Kid, International Super Hits, fucking loved, and then, kind of like I got American Idiot, and from there was like, just everything that they were putting out. I didn't actually go back to listen to older Green Day for quite a while, like mostly just the stuff that was on Super Hits. So actually going through specifically these two albums, really, I'd never really done a deep dive into these first two, and you can definitely hear differences, but you can hear like this is the band that they're growing into, who they're going to fucking bust out of with this next album, their first fucking the album that turned them into pariahs.
Yeah, 100%.
In certain circles,
and definitely an album that is like, I mean, quintessential punk, pop punk, whatever
Yeah.
you want to call it. I mean, it's definitely, I think, in the elite, echelon of that type of stuff. And then also, this is when Trey Cool comes. Trey Cool wasn't around for the beginning. Forget the name of the drummer who they had beforehand, but you can definitely tell just by the very first fucking like start of this album. It's like he's so fast and so tight, and Burnout starts with that very it's just right in, so you can tell.
And this was the first one where I was like, fuck, I don't know what to pick. Like, you can't really go wrong.
Oh, absolutely. I think Dookie's a pretty much no skip.
Yeah.
Record for sure.
Yeah, but I did pick something.
Good.
And it is a single. When I Come Around.
Excellent.
Because kind of with going through the songs in this album, once again, there's so many that you could, like, Welcome to Paradise, Longview. You know, you'll go through some stuff too, but like the like opening riff of When I Come Around has just been, for some reason, for me, I don't know how to explain it really. When I Come Around, in my mind, is like the quintessential encore song at a show, and I don't even know if it's an encore song that they play, but just kind of picturing, you know, like crowds going crazy, you know, and like boom, 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 and then just going right into When I Come Around, and that riff is just iconic. And I mean, this whole song is fucking great too, but that opening riff is what gets stuck in my head every time I hear it.
Yeah, and it's so many like people, like once you figure out how to do a bar chord on guitar and stuff, it's so many people's like first, or actually you can even play that with open chords. So it's so many people's like first couple of guitar songs and things like that. It's definitely one of those ones that I remember being like, I can probably learn how to play that. It's like 4 chords, you know.
And then you can.
And then you can, and it's great, and it makes you be like, oh, okay, I can do this guitar playing thing, and now I can sing it, and yeah, it's a great song. Yeah. There are so many good singles. I think all the singles are worthy of being some of the, you know, the most recognized Green Day songs of all time. However, I'm going to go for one that I just have always loved. It's called Pulling Teeth. Something about, I think, some of the like slightly more sentimental early Green Day songs I just really gravitated to, especially because I was listening to them when I was a young and emotional preteen and teenager. So that song's just always been one of my favorite like songs, period, let alone Green Day songs. So again, I think the whole album is pretty much a no skip. I love FOD, aka Fuck Off and Die, at the end too, just because it's full of good teen angst at the end too. But Pulling Teeth is mine.
And hold on, is it Dookie? Because now I gotta know. Is it Dookie? All by Myself, written and performed by Trey Cool, the secret song at the end. Yeah.
Yes, it is. And again, in the spirit of having that weird alt song that they do on there. That's just a goof song. And Kerplunk has one too. Kerplunk is, I want to say, is it? It's like Bottom of the Barrel or something like that. I gotta look. I have Spotify open. It's another goofy, weird song that they do. I'll look.
Yeah, and I mean I feel like Green Day and you know, Blink both, with that pop punk sound and kind of having those quote unquote jokey songs in the middle of more serious songs is fucking great. And Blink still does it to this day with their most recent album. They've got a couple on there.
Kerplunket's Dominated Love Slave.
Yes, written and performed by Trey Cool. Yeah, I almost picked that one, honestly.
It's honestly great. So
yeah, but so Insomniac, follow up to Dookie.
So it's funny. I always thought that I always switched Insomniac and Nimrod. I always thought that Nimrod came before Insomniac. Literally, maybe until wait, you know what? Sorry, wild card.
Whoa,
wild card. Before we get to Insomniac. It was later in 1994. I'm gonna go from the Jump Salty, I think an EP or a full record on Pinhead Gunpowder. The song is called Do. Sorry, I have it here. I gotta scroll down. Where is it? Oh, it's under its own thing. It's called Losers of the Year. It's a weird one because it starts out with a cover, like a recording of Loser. It's not called Loser of the Year. I forget what it is, but it's a T-Rex song, I want to say.
Okay.
And then maybe it's Husker Du. I think it's Husker Du. And then they go into a song that has, and then they go into a song that has similar lyrics, not exactly like all identical lyrics, but similar lyrics, but then a completely different melody and everything. It's interesting, but I like it a lot. And it's probably my favorite Pinhead Gunpowder song, so I just wanted to shout it out.
You could type it in. I moved it up now, so you should be able to go type it in there. And really quick, do you want to go over kind of what Pinhead Gunpowder is, who they are?
Yes. Let me see. So Pinhead Gunpowder it's kind of cool. It seems like it's been like a persistent side project. You could maybe call them a super group. But they let me stop. It consists of a kind of super group of, I guess, Bay Area and East Bay punk rock. So it's Aaron Cumthebus, who does drums, Bill Schneider, Billy Joe Armstrong, and Jason White. Jason White, who eventually will appear as Green Day's kind of tour DJ.
There's been so many times where I've seen them, like, I think every time I've seen them live going from American Idiot onwards, Jason White's there, to the point where I'm like, I hope they're at least paying this dude to be a fourth member of the band, because like he's
absolutely they've been lifelong friends, and he's very much their tour guitar player, and over the years they've sort of like he's been in more like photos in like
you see him occasionally in like promo pictures and stuff. But
and I think he deserves it. And then nowadays Green Day has a couple of other people that come on the road with them. Like there's a saxophone player that they do for some stuff. There's like a keys person. It's not telling me what bands they're all from immediately, which is kind of annoying.
No, but
let me see. Pinhead Gunpowder. Yeah, that's not. There, a lot of them are in a lot of bands, but they're all kind of East Bay like local legends type of stuff. And it just seems like a place where Green Day, or specifically Billy Joe, but all of them go to just kind of like shake up their material and like just write some simple, fast punk songs. And yeah, it's good. It's good stuff.
And that's the thing that I'm so going into this. I knew about like Pinhead Gunpowder, never really listened to them, but doing the research for this list of kind of Billy Joe's side projects, I learned about so many other fucking shit that he's done.
Yeah,
and had never really heard of that. I actually have a couple of wild cards, later on from those projects. That the thing that I really liked about them is that they're all different, which is it's a very simple thing to say. But it's like, I'm not doing this side project that's the same exact style of music because I want to do it without, Trey and Mike. Like, it's, okay, I'm doing Pinhead Gunpowder. This is more of like a fast punk rock vibe,
and they even get into kind of a little bit of a rancid vibe sometimes too. The other singer, Billy Joe and the other singer kind of trade off verses or sing together, and their vocals together is a lot more like raspy and harsh. So that's cool. And then the long shot, and then like he does something with his brother, or is it brother? I think the Armstrongs that they do.
Oh, so, Armstrongs is like I will get into that because that
sounds good.
Yeah,
hell yeah. But anyways,
he's got something with his family and stuff. Yeah. Insomniac, I went for a single. You talked about, hey, this is one of the first things that people learn how to play on guitar. Fucking Brain Stew.
Oh, hell yeah. Good.
That
I'm
riff.
glad it's being represented.
Yeah, like...
Yeah.
You listen, like, you hear that. If you listen to a playlist of, like, Green Day's biggest hits, and then you put Brain Stew in the middle there, when that starts, someone might listen to it and be like, who's this? This is a different band, right? Nope. Like this is just like a completely different, similar but like a different sound at the beginning. It's not in your face. It's just and it's just repeating that for a little bit. Yeah, Brain Stew is one of the top tier.
Then his vocals are so good because they're like all just about being strung out, right? So he's like, I'm having trouble trying to sleep, and he's like so like fucked up, and it's great. I fucking love it. Yeah,
it's a fucking great song. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole story of Green Day kind of narratively throughout their albums, which is cool. When you like going back through this history, I definitely found it where they've got a little bit of like idealism and they're still kind of just stupid kids for the first two ones, and then Dookie really comes out of like I'm on my own. This is what being on my own is like. I live in the fucking ghetto in between Berkeley and Oakland. And like it's fun, but it's also ghetto. And then Insomniac is kind of like they've seen some darker shit. It feels like, you know what I mean? Like you get into your 20s and you don't have the mom and dad support anymore. There's a track on this album about like getting your inheritance when mom and dad die. Although I will say Billy Joe lost his dad when he was like 19. But yeah, anyways, it's just a little more like punchy and a little bit more dark. I mean, they talk about meth heads in this a lot, tweakers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good stuff. And then later you get into American Idiot, where it's like kind of building this whole picture of their youth. So it's cool. Insomniac for me, I'm gonna go for one called Panic Song. It is a saga of a song. It starts off with these like really like fast beating like floor tom drums from Trey Cool, and just this like continuous bass note that just goes for a while, and then Billy Joe just does this cool like little like almost motivational sounding like building guitar thing, and it just builds and builds and builds, and it's like really fast, and you're like, God, Trey Cole, how are you keeping up this fast the whole time? And then it just breaks into this big like I don't know, it's just a really hard fast-paced song, and it's it's a little different for a lot of Green Day stuff, but I think it's just like really kick ass and balls to the wall. So I really like it.
Yeah, fucking and there was that kind of that thing going around just recently, like a Twitter thing that was like, name a band with like an incredible four album run. Yeah, and I think Dookie, Insomniac, Nimrod, Warning. Like
hell yeah. I mean, you could move it up to American Idiot too if you wanted to. You could do, Insomniac, Nimrod, Warning, American Idiot also. But yeah, I think Dookie.
But then you
Dookie
leave fucking
Warning,
Dookie out of it. Like Dookie.
No, yeah.
Dookie is the fucking.
Totally.
Is pop punk.
Yeah, it's. I mean, especially Dookie through Warning feels like, an era of Green Day, and then they go to American Idiot, and it's definitely a new era of Green Day. So, yeah, they feel like of a piece for sure.
Yeah.
So speaking of, let's go on to Nimrod. Also, kind of a harder edge to this album. They have even like a like the song "Take Back" is like maybe the most like not screamo, but like more like angry Green Day. You know what I mean? Which I think is cool. They definitely go a little harder and faster on this one. And I also remember a lot of the media coverage around this time. There was a lot of like MTV stuff going on in 97. And they were very like antagonistic towards reporters during this time. I remember them just being like really like, fuck you, man, like stuff, like, so they were very like much like embracing the punk rock, I think.
I mean, and you look at like the release dates here. Nimrod, October 1997. This is their third full length. Dookie, the thing that shot them to stardom, is February 1994. So within 3 years, 3.5 years, they're one of the biggest bands on the planet.
Totally.
And how many other bands do you see like get to that point and then just kind of are like, oh, cool, we'll just do what we did before.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. It gets harder and harder and harder. But yet they also still have, they've got really great lyrics on this record. There's a lot of really good, interesting stuff in it, and the record varies a lot. There's some weird songs on this record, like I want to say the Last Ride In, which is like a weird surf song that
Yeah,
they do
it's an
for a
instrumental.
second. Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
strange. I think it might have been used in a movie or something along the way. I couldn't find where it was used, but I do remember like maybe seeing it in something. But I'm gonna go with Redundant, which is I think it was a single actually back in the day. The singles from this record are kind of weird because there's obviously Good Riddance, which is like the other like softer Green Day song that everyone knows. But Redundant, I remember being on the radio, and it's a good one.
I don't know if you see the list there on your side.
Oh, nice. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have honorable mentions. I have
This
another one that
one for me was very, very hard to choose.
Yeah, totally.
Because for a long time, Good Riddance was just my favorite song.
Oh, it's amazing.
Like
I mean,
over
it's such a good
anything.
song.
It's an incredible song, and it's one of the things that I fucking love about it. Still, it's like Born in the USA, where
Yeah.
you listen to the song and you're like, oh, so heartfelt. It's so nice, but it's a fuck you to all the people that hated them after Dookie. Really,
Yeah. Totally.
you know. And so it was almost that, and it was then between that, Redundant, and King for a Day.
Hell yeah. I have King for a Day on my honorable mentions.
Yeah,
which
is
have they ever played it live when you've seen them?
I want to say yes, but I don't know.
I hesitate to. I mean, maybe so, but they make a pageantry of it. He dresses up kind of in drag usually for it, and not full drag, but he'll put he'll smear makeup on his face and put lipstick on.
Yeah, like throw a dress on.
Yeah, throw a dress on and then put a king's crown on.
I think I remember reading a story about the reason they wrote this song is because Billy Joe fucking hates ska. And he's like, we're never going to write a ska song, so here's a ska song, and this is the only one we'll ever fucking do. And it's, good. Like, King for a Day was almost my pick, but for me, like, even with Good Riddance, like, Redundant, fucking going back to when I first heard it on International Superhits, Redundant is one of the best fucking love songs I've ever heard.
Totally.
And listened to. And the lyrics they're not, oh my god, you're so perfect. Like, the lyrics are, yeah, I love you, but I know we say that so much that it's just redundant. It doesn't mean anything. But that's how I feel. Like you are my, you're my everything. And even though these words that I say don't mean as much as they should, like you need to know, like this is how I feel.
Yeah, it's great. It's truly really well written love song and it's still got a great I don't know. It's just still got a great groove and still loud guitars, and it's great.
Yeah, just the beginning alone is just fucking just clicks in my head, and I'm like, fuck yeah, Redundant's on.
Yeah, totally.
I switched mine over.
I switched. Well, I think it'll be better for us both to have something for the playlist purpose at least. So I put to Hashinka, which is it's just another really good. This one's more of just a standard Green Day song. It's just a really good like. I just really like the chords in it, and it's like really loud and driving. And it just kind of breaks into one of those really classic like Green Day 3-chord breakdowns later on. And since we talked about those other ones, people can go listen to them. King for a Day, Good Riddance, obviously everyone knows that one.
Yeah, everyone knows Good Riddance. Once you hear the beginning of Good Riddance, and you hear him almost say fuck, but he doesn't say fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you know Good Riddance. Parentheses. Time of your life. So
time of your life, yes.
Yeah.
I have a memory of a good friend of mine and I, the last day of high school in the parking lot, me sitting on top of my Honda Accord and my 2004 Honda Accord, 2003 Honda Accord, and we smoked a joint and I was playing this on guitar and a bunch of people came over and said what up. It was pretty funny, and then drove off into the wind.
Okay.
Don't do drugs, kids, unless it's legal. No, it's fine. Yeah.
Or when you're at home with your parents, it's fine.
There you go.
Or if you're at somebody else's house and they offer them to you, Look, if you're not paying for it, it's good. We're good.
Yeah, there it is. All right, Warning. This is cool. I love Warning. It's I would say it was a bit of a pivot at the time. Or it felt like it at least.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's a little. They go to a lot more acoustic guitars, even though there's some punky songs.
Yeah, Billy Joe realized that an acoustic guitar could be backed by other instruments. So
Yep. Yeah. So that's
and just
cool.
fucking went hog goddamn wild with it.
He really did. And I think there's probably some backlash. There was probably some backlash. I was maybe a little too young to fully understand that
Yeah.
at the time. There's probably some backlash against this album. But I think there's some really good tunes on it. There's some really great songwriting, and it's definitely about being in your early 20s when like, or maybe even close. Yeah, probably early. I think probably early to mid. Yeah, early 20s to mid 20s when you're kind of like that sort of naivete starts to fade, and you kind of like at least sort of have to get your shit together. You know, even if you're not all the way there yet. So there's songs on here like Deadbeat Holiday or Church on Sunday or Minority, that are all kind of like about this like I'm kind of fucking up my whole life, but I don't really know how to get my shit together. And I appreciate the kind of theme of the record for that.
So
What's your track? What's your track?
My track for this, and I'm gonna fucking this might actually be a theme for a few of my picks.
Nice.
Macy's Day Parade.
Oh, what? I was literally gonna do the same
thing. The album. It's the album closer, and it is like we said, like it's that acoustic guitar, and this one doesn't kind of go into anything bigger, but it's I don't know. It's just like a fucking great fucking song, and I'll say this, and this might be not a popular take for a lot of Green Day fans. My favorite Green Day album is American Idiot. Okay, because it came out at the fucking perfect time in my life as about
amazing.
to get out of high school and fuck Bush. My second favorite Green Day album has been Warning for a long time.
Nice.
A lot of other people people fucking obviously Dookie is goated. Some of the other stuff like Insomniac Nimrod has a ton of stuff, but like for me it's American Idiot and then Warning, and it is that kind of with Macy's Day Parade. It's more of like a, I don't really want to say slower vibe, but I think that's kind of how I'm going with it, where it's more almost introspective, and it's like, okay, yeah, we were angry, but like we're like look into what yourself and what you're doing,
What's cool is it's also like a very not anti-capitalist, but like being burdened and downtrodden from capitalism. I mean, it's called Macy's Day Parade because it's like Thanksgiving into Black Friday, and the song talks about like midnight specials at the mausoleum, you're gonna save a lot of money when you're dead, like some shit like that, and it talks about like eventually like going down a new road, and it kind of feels like getting rid of this sort of like bad habit of like being poor essentially. I don't know. It's good. It's a great song.
Yeah.
But since in the name of not doing the same one, because I love that song as well, but I will do one of my honorable mentions. I'm gonna do Deadbeat Holiday. It's got a great start to it. It's wake up, the house is on fire, and the cat's caught in the dryer. Philosophy's a liar when your home is your headstone. It's like, again, it's just kind of like it's just this whole thing of just being kind of down and out and in your mid-20s and not really sure what you're doing. And I love it. I love that song. Again, a little slower, but it's got a good groove to it too.
But I mean, that's like I said, that's Warning. The album itself, not every song obviously is slower, but it's they seem like, okay, we can kind of slow down and kind of explore some more some more sounds. Totally. Not to say that Insomniac, Nimrod, Dookie sound the same, but like Warning is for me like almost that first time where you kind of hear them. Okay, outside of like King for a Day or a few other things, Warning is where you're like, okay, they're more expanding like the sound and playing just with more in their wheelhouse, but bringing things in.
There's a great song on there called Misery, which I really like. It has like a kind of like waltzy, it's like vaudevillian almost. Yeah. Kind of like it's great. It's got some great references to like Bay Area specific stuff that's kind of fun. Yeah, good stuff. It's a great record. I honestly, I might be with you. I'd have to really kind of ruminate on that for a little bit to think about it, but I love Warning as well, and it's probably it's maybe the one that I'm listened to the most in my adulthood because it's a little less angsty in some ways. So
yeah. So the next one, there's a really good chance we're gonna have matching songs because I think there's really only 2 to choose from.
Yeah, I'll pick whatever one you don't because I like both of them. But JAR is the one, right?
Oh, there's 3 actually. Yeah, because JAR it's on here. It's from the Angus soundtrack, so it also is actually listed under guest spots because it's kind of one of those ones where it's from both. But yeah, JAR was not my pick.
Oh, great! Then I'll put it.
Yeah. So my pick is the first track on the album. The first 2 tracks, Maria and Pop Rocks and Coke, are...
That's what it is.
Yeah, unreleased songs from, like that they put on here at the beginning, and then it just goes into their singles, essentially, which I guess JAR was probably released as a single for the Angus soundtrack, but...
Must have been, yeah.
But yeah, Maria opens up with, like, an interview from Billy Joe when he was a child, and he just, like
4.
Because Billy Joe's first recording was as, like, a little kid, and it was just, like, a little thing that you have a kid record and whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but it was, like, some, whatever.
Yeah.
Something musical.
But, like, it opens up with that little interview, and it's like, Billy Joe, you just recorded your very first album. How do you feel? And he's just like, wonderful! And just the way that he says wonderful has just stuck with me, and then just goes right into the riff. And once again, like, this was... with International Super Hits being my first Green Day album, I use that because it's a greatest hits album. But, like, this was the first thing I fucking really heard from Green Day, outside of just hearing things on the radio or, like, jumping on MTV and it's in the middle of a thing. But, like, first time I put a Green Day CD into my CD player and pressed play, it was, Billy Joe, you just recorded your very first record. How do you feel? Wonderful. And then do-do-do-do,
And yeah, it's great.
Fucking hooked immediately. So out of these 2, Pop Rocks and Coke is also really good, and it's very much of the Warning vibe. It's got the acoustic guitar and everything, but Maria is the song that was like, fuck yeah, let's do this.
God, what a good song. I kind of forgot about that. She smashed the radio with the Board of Education. It's a great intro song. It should be an intro to an album, honestly, which it kind of is, I guess.
Yeah.
JAR stands for Jason Allen Reed, I believe, who is a friend of theirs that died.
Cool.
Yeah.
Chill.
It's a sad song. It's kind of about like what happened to you kind of thing, and I think it's Reed. I might be wrong around the last name. I know it's Jason Allen. I don't remember.
Jason Andrew Relva.
I lied. Wow, I'm full of shit. But yeah.
Dookie outtake re-recorded for the Angus soundtrack.
There you go. But it's one of my favorite Green Day songs to play. I play it on guitar a lot, and I'll play it a little slower. And a little more melancholic, maybe. But it's just a great song. It's got really good lyrics, and it's got this kind of cool. It's kind of got like Elliott Smith lyrics vibes a little bit, where it's kind of like why should I change my life? Like the world doesn't have to make you, or like you don't have to fall into this cookie cutter kind of shit, which I kind of like. So, anyways, JAR, good one.
And once again, there's really only 3 non-album tracks on the International Super Hits, and it is Maria, JAR, and Pop Rocks and Coke, and you can't really go wrong with any of them.
Any of them, totally. So. I will say International Super Hits is a great selection of songs. I like that it's a lot of singles, but there are some inclusions of like not really deep cuts, but certainly like Green Day songs that listening through an album like Insomniac and Nimrod, you don't necessarily pick them out as like, like, I don't know, like, I don't really know where they got the idea to put some of them on there. I think hopefully it just were songs that they liked, or maybe it was ones that were the most successful or something, but yeah, good songs. The next album, I also fucking love this album. I know it's not technically an album, it's a compilation of B-sides and rarities, but it feels to me like an album. I don't know.
This is definitely one that you can listen to as like an experience, because it's not just like there's another thing that they released later on called Demolicious, which is just demos of other songs. So the songs sound different than when they came out on the albums, but it's, it's the same songs, just basically older. Shenanigans is the next pick here. It is literally just an album of the B-sides from their singles. So years ago, when bands actually released singles and they released
gather
things
round, kids.
on gather round, children. When bands released singles, the singles would have B-sides, which a lot of times were unreleased tracks, which they kind of either recorded for that. So like it would be they released Good Riddance, Time of Your Life as a single, and that's the thing they put on radio. And then when you buy that CD or that tape, there's a second song on there that's not just one of the other songs in the album. It is just, sometimes it's an original song that they put for that. Sometimes it's maybe an album song or a song that didn't get put on the album for whatever reason, and it's just, the B-side. But Shenanigans is literally just a collection of those B-sides. So they are technically songs that were released, but none of them were ever like singles and released, out into the world with music videos and all this stuff.
Yeah, so. I think the one song on this album that I had heard before this album came out was in the Austin Powers soundtrack, because there's a song called Espionage on this record that is in, I think, Austin Powers 2, maybe? Or The Spy Who Shagged Me?
Who Shagged Me, yep.
Yeah, Spy Who Shagged Me, yes. Yes, so that was the only song that I had heard before this one came out. And then they do a cover on here of The Kinks' Tired of Waiting for You, which I also think might have been out there somewhere. But other than that.
A cover of a Kinks song was featured on the soundtrack for the 1997 film Private Parts, which, that's the Howard Stern biopic.
Howard Stern, yes. Okay, so I had heard it. I knew I had heard it somewhere. Cool, there you go. That's a good movie. I haven't watched that in a while. But my pick for this is going to be Desensitized. Which I believe is the second song on the record.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Is it your pick as well?
It was. I had a couple here, so I kind of went through a couple, so it's not a problem.
This one starts. Am I wrong? Does this one start out with like sounds of someone getting the shit beat out of them?
So according to the personnel, Mike Dirnt. Bass guitar for the album, bass guitar, backing vocals, baseball bats on Desensitized.
Excellent.
So it's just the song starts with Mike Dirnt just kind of in the background, just smashing shit up with baseball bats and screaming.
And it kind of sounds. At least in my mind, it always sounded like someone getting beat up in the band, like an alleyway. Probably because the album art for this is like an alleyway with a phone booth and like some spray painted stencils of Green Day, and so I just kind of like, because it's like the second track on the record, I just had that vivid imagery in my mind, and I was like, oh, this is probably them getting beat up in an alleyway. That's like what I always associated with it. Sounds like someone getting thrown into trash cans. That's great.
So I did pick Desensitized, but like I said, I had a couple, and the other one is actually Espionage.
Great. Awesome.
Which is the instrumental song from Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me, which doesn't sound like Green Day at all, and it is instrumental, and it's just that kind of like that like 70s kind of almost like surf rock kind of vibe, it just kind of gets into just kind of gets into a groove for the entire thing. And it doesn't sound like Green Day, but it doesn't sound like Green Day, and then it's like, oh yeah, no, that's Green Day. I hear it.
When you find out it's Green Day, you're like, oh, I hear it, just kind of in the guitar sound and like but it's funny. That's great. I'm glad that's on there. Well, you take us into your next pick then, because it is an odd man out for sure.
This is I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna use this as essentially one of my 4 wild cards.
Yep.
Okay. So I fought the law, and the reason I said I didn't know this wasn't on Spotify until today, really. But I Fought the Law was released. Actually, you know what? Let me look at the exact date. I Fought the Law was an iTunes exclusive. So, like when I say Apple Music, I mean iTunes exclusive. Was released on February 1st, 2004. iTunes came out January 9th, 2001. So it was still, fairly young. But for me, I Fought the Law, the reason that I've had it in my head and kind of on my fucking iPhone since 2004, like on my iPod, is I remember this being the first song that I ever actually bought on iTunes.
Yes, that's
and
amazing.
It wasn't even with my money. It was...
Someone gave you a gift card?
No. So at my school, we had soda machines, and there was a Pepsi machine, and Pepsi had a deal with Apple and iTunes.
Oh my God.
That was literally just, you get a Pepsi, and on the top of the cap, there might be a code. If there's a code, that's a free song on iTunes. And
That's awesome.
I drank Pepsi every day because I'm a fat kid, and I got a code, and the first thing that I used, I made my iTunes account, I put the code in, it's like, you got a free song. The first thing I did was I bought I Fought the Law by Green Day, which is a cover of The Clash. Clash? Yeah.
It's The Clash. Although I think it's The Clash originally. I don't want to sound like a punk idiot and like it's actually someone even more obscure than that, but I think it is The Clash.
But yeah, so like I Fought the Law has been on my iPod and iPhone now. 1960 song by the Crickets, actually. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Crickets, man. They were ahead of their time.
The song was written in 1958 by Sonny Curtis and recorded in 1959 when he joined the Crickets, taking the place of Buddy Holly on guitar.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And then Bobby Fuller
Way ahead of the
4
time.
version in 1965. And the Clash version in 1979, which I think is probably the one that kind of we're thinking of.
Yeah. Then a bunch of people have covered it since then. I
100%. Like Hank Williams Jr., Dead Kennedys, Green Day.
DK is the other one I remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
I Fought the Law is for me just a very kind of almost sentimental pick, if you will.
That's great. I apologize. I thought I Fought the Law was 2003, so I actually have a wild card here that goes right before it.
Okay.
In 2003. This is Private Hell from the Private Hell and Supermarket from this is them with Iggy Pop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I remember hearing this a while back, but until us doing this process of listening back, I hadn't thought about this song in years and years and years. I went through a big Iggy Pop and mainly Stooges, but also Iggy's solo stuff phase. Oh yeah, Skull Ring, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And what's cool about the song is that it's Iggy singing on it, but it's with Green Day playing, assumedly all of them. And you hear a little bit of background vocals from Billy, but it's just interesting. Iggy really makes his voice sound like Billy Joe in this song. Like if you listen to it, if you don't pay attention, you could almost think it's Billy Joe, but then you're like, no, that's fucking Iggy he's just doing his best Billy Joe, which I thought was funny. Yeah. And maybe kind of must have been, as Billy Joe, it must have felt pretty cool to have Iggy Pop like singing like you on a song. So it definitely just sounds like a Green Day song, but just with Iggy Pop singing it, which is cool. So I just wanted to shout it out. Thought it was interesting.
Which song are you putting on there?
Oh, sorry. Oh, it's called Private Hell. Yeah.
Okay. I gotta. Yeah.
I'll write it.
So for me, growing up, Iggy Pop was one of the parents on The Adventures of Pete and Pete. So
you're like, what?
Yeah. All right. So we are now into September 2004. We are 3 years after 9/11. We are fucking less than 2 months away from the 2004 election.
Man, crazy.
Which one of my wild cards was almost a song that also came out in 2004 from the Rock Against Bush, Volume 2, His Favorite Son. Yeah. But yeah, if Green Day had fallen out of favor after Warning and everything, American Idiot put them into a new fucking stratosphere.
It's like one of the biggest. It's like one of the best like left. Kind of, I would call it a left turn. Like it's one of the best left turns in music history. Honestly, like kind of for me, I mean, it came out of nowhere. But one of the big things that I always like was bummed about, kind of growing up during, especially post 9/11, was the lack of protest music. I mean, I felt like, my dad's generation, especially in the 60s and 70s, had like the best protest music against the Vietnam War ever, and like so much culture around being anti-Vietnam War. And I just felt like it took our generation a little bit of time, probably just because 9/11 was like such a big shift in global and certainly US culture. But I was always like, where the hell is the anger about this in like pop culture? And American Idiot was the record that was like, here it is. Here's how you do it. So
I mean,
amazing.
I think 2004, just as a year, like I said, there was Rock Against Bush. This was volume 2. There were 3 volumes of that. There was there was like a ton of stuff in 2004 that was like, okay, here's the protest music that we've been doing, and it's like a lot of like punk bands and stuff that are doing it. And then, I mean, fucking even now, you would think this year, or maybe even 4 years ago, there would have been kind of that, explosion again. It's a bunch of tweets.
It feels
there was Eminem 4 years ago, I think.
Sure. It feels to me a lot more like our generation has been more like what the 80s did, where they're like the kind of like the world's gone to shit, so we're gonna dance because we don't want to think about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That more feels like where we're at, where there's a lot of dance music coming out and like distraction music, as opposed to like let's focus on it and rally against it music. So that's another topic for another time. But American Idiot is a phenomenal record, and honestly, you could put any song on this, and
we can only do one. So what are you choosing?
I'm gonna choose. This was really hard for me. Jesus of Suburbia is so amazing. Are we the waiting / Saint Jimmy? Also, it's interesting. On Spotify these days, they mash together songs that I don't remember being the same track on the CD itself.
They always were.
Oh, they were.
Yeah,
okay,
they
cool.
were. Yeah, because I have a memory that when American Idiot came out, MTV was doing this thing. I think they called it the leak, where like a week or two before an album would come out, you could you could stream it on their website.
Weird.
And I remember that they had like the songs together, and then when I saw it on the CD and it was like separate tracks, I was like, that's weird. But then you listen to it and it's like, oh, okay, yeah.
I mean, they definitely all flow together in such a way, but I never really realized that Are We the Waiting and Saint Jimmy were actually technically one continuous track, and then another one with Letterbomb and. She's a rebel. Anyways, I'm gonna go. This is a weird pick. So I went through the whole record and I was like, I could put on any of these songs. I love the rock operas. The Jesus Suburbia and then Homecoming are both obviously sagas and amazing. But I also really, really love what's kind of like the epilogue to the album, which is What's Her Name, and so that's what I'm actually gonna go for this time. There's something kind of like there's so many like threads of almost narrative in this album. There's like the Saint Jimmy / Jesus Suburbia saga. There's kind of like there's like the I don't know. There's all these different motifs, I guess, is what I'm saying. Yep. But there's this kind of underlying tone of like kind of like falling in and out of love with America. And even though this song is What's Her Name and it very much seems like about like a girl and a person, I've always kind of thought about it as like your idealism of like what America is. and when you think about it under that context, this is a really messed up song and really dark, and it could just be about your girl, but it's kind of like falling out of love with America for me, so it's really powerful. Anyways,
sorry, I'm just looking at my. Okay, yeah. I took out the H in her name because it's just What's Her. Good
call. It didn't look right to me either.
so I actually had a toss up for this one again. But it's because you could pick fucking anything on here.
100%.
Almost. And it was good. I almost went with just Saint Jimmy by itself. Not even like the 2-piece. Just Saint Jimmy is just a fucking goddamn bullet fired at full speed. Just and incredible. But
So good.
But I went with Jesus of Suburbia, the entire thing.
It's so good.
Because American Idiot, while the title track American Idiot is, I mean, now it's like I said, I saw Green Day fucking last year, and they opened it with American Idiot. Like, that's their opening track, because it's just a perfect fucking...
It resonates to this day,
yeah,
you know?
So, like, that opening fucking guitar, if you hear it and you're like, that's fucking Green Day, I know exactly where I fucking was when I heard that. I know exactly how angry I was at everything.
I remember the video with the big green flag and everything. Yeah, great.
Yeah. But for me, Jesus of Suburbia, the song itself, like, that's what the album is. It's that fucking rock opera, you know? And it's a punk rock opera that you don't just do, you know? Like, it's not just like, oh, we're going to go do this. Like, the way that, I don't know if you've, like, listened to interviews and stuff about how they made that. Essentially, like, they wrote all the different songs, and they were all just kind of pieces, and they're like, well, I mean, we could kind of thread these together and make this into, like, a story. And that's how Jesus of Suburbia came together, and then Homecoming as well. I almost went with Homecoming, because I feel like Homecoming doesn't get as much love as it should, but, you know.
And the ending of Homecoming is, like, gut-wrenching, with the whole, like, military march, and the nobody likes you, everyone left you, like, that. Yeah, it's like one of those... You know, it's hauntingly good. And what's cool about this album, too, and I think with any good concept album, is that, like, even though it is very much committing to, like, an overarching, bigger theme that's outside of themselves, it's also a pretty personal album for Billy Joe.
Oh, yeah.
He deals a lot with, like, the death of his father at a young age. That's what Wake Me Up When September Ends is about, because his dad died in September, and then
when you're making those Wake Me Up When September Ends memes, remember.
Yeah, exactly.
It's his dead dad.
It's his dead dad.
Okay?
And he's talking about 10 years has come and passed.
Stick to It's Gonna Be May, all right? And fucking...
stay with Justin.
Fucking ramen hair Justin Timberlake.
Ramen hair.
All right?
It does look like cup of noodles. It's so good. I do that one every April. It's good times. But yeah, anyways. But yeah, so it's a really personable album also, you know, and it still continues that narrative thread of Green Day of like, you know, kind of cynical but like fuck yeah, youth, to like, oh man, I've seen some dark stuff living in the city, to like my naivete in the veil of adulthood is fully like lifted. And then, like, you know, and then it adds in the war protesty stuff, and I think it's just chef's kiss.
And it's once again, like, I think for people of our age, or how old are you?
I mean, I'm 34.
Same. But people of our age, actually, I do not know how old I am. I'm 34 or 35. I legit.
I had to think about it for a second as well. You were like, "How old are you?" I was like, it might have seemed like I was embarrassed to say my age. I was actually just double checking in my head.
But no, like, this came out when I was in, I believe this is my first year of high school. But I was
100%.
You know,
for me, it was.
Yeah,
definitely.
Either my first was
First for me.
Second year of high school, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was
like
old.
a year younger than everybody. Yeah, I was the youngest kid.
I was the kid who they had the choice of, like, you're either going to be the youngest kid in the older grade or the oldest kid in the younger grade. My parents went with the oldest kid in the younger grade. So
yeah, I was the youngest kid in the older grade, because my mom wouldn't take shit from a goddamn person in the office at my elementary school here in Utah. And I will always love her for that, because it's set my life up where I'm at now.
That's good.
And it's led me here. Because if she was just like, all right, whatever, my life would have been completely different. But
yeah, you never know, right?
Yeah, but like, this came out in my second year of high school when I think I was about to turn 16. So, like, I couldn't vote, but I was very much, you know,
me neither. Yeah.
Reading and like hearing things and just fucking angry at everything, because I was a fucking kid. But I was still like, fuck this. I mean, fuck going to war. Why are we in war? Like, I'm a fucking 16-year-old kid being like, why the fuck did we go to Iraq?
Yeah.
You know, what the fuck is this?
From the beginning, I was like, wait. So you're saying that these people who did 9/11 were actually Pakistani people,
Yeah,
and yet we're
yeah.
going to and yet Afghanistan is the
Yeah.
enemy, and yet like we're in war in Iraq. I'm like, there's fundamentally something wrong with this.
Yeah.
I started looking into all the Dick Cheney stuff. We quickly all realized like, okay, this is just garbage.
I believe the term is radicalized, but yeah, it's whatever.
Yes.
But like, yeah, and like the whole year was just fucking going to Warped Tour that summer, and it was, you know, The Rock Against Bush, and like bands kind of speaking out, the people that you kind of look up to speaking out about it, and fucking seeing goddamn Tom DeLonge do an appearance with John Kerry, the most boring politician in the goddamn world. You had one job, Democrats, in 2004.
Oh, man.
And you put a fucking tree stump, whatever.
Yeah, John Kerry, I will say, great job. Like he's an amazing diplomat. He's a good dude in general. Way good at climate change and everything. But yes, he literally is a stump.
Vice president, put him over here. Give me, whatever. Okay, but
someone who can talk, for Christ's sake. Yeah,
like the whole, you know, that whole year of kind of going through that, and then American Idiot hits in, you know, September. Like right before the election, everything is like hyping up, and it just was the perfect release and the perfect time for me, for, you know, you people kind of in our generation, and I feel like that's the reason it's stuck around for now 20 years. It's the 20th anniversary of American Idiot this year.
Wow, it's 2024.
Like,
holy crap!
And it's the 30th anniversary of Dookie, which is just it's fucking 10 years between Dookie and American Idiot.
That's wild.
Those are two different
really
fucking
cool.
bands, you know?
Yeah, it is. Amazing.
But yeah, American Idiot, incredible album. And then they followed it up a few years later with 21st Century Breakdown.
Yes, indeed. I was also, this is right at the end of my high school career. You might have been out of high school already, but this was my senior year. This came out. This record was
2009?
Yeah.
How the fuck? How old am I?
Yeah. Well, see, I actually lied. I'm 33. I turned 34 in the month, so I was kind of just like, let me just say that.
Okay, and then I was a year. Okay, because I'm like, I graduated in 2006. What the fuck?
Okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Okay, but yeah.
Okay. Anyways, I was the kid in the older. Anyways, whatever. Yes, kid in the younger grade, and then yes, I'm 33 technically. But you know, it's a month. It's literally a month away. So there you go. But yeah, 21st Century Breakdown was my senior year of high school. So it mattered to me because a good friend of mine and he was going through some shit, and he got kicked out of his parents' house, and my parents were like, come live with us for the last 3 months of senior year, and then you got to figure it out after that. But because obviously I was moving out and yada yada yada. Yep. But so for the last 3 months of senior year, I just had my best friend living at my house with me, which like I growing up as an only child, I have half siblings who are older, but they were already all out of the house. So this was like kind of a dream come true, and so we were just being total hooligans. I had already gotten accepted to college. I was like, I'm good, and so we totally just messed around for the last semester of high school, and so this was a record that we played throughout that time, although it's not one that I go back to very often. It's just the way it is.
I remember thinking then and now, because like obviously it's fucking, you know, 15, 16, 20 some odd years almost later. This album, you could have cut 4 or 5 songs from this album. It would have been great. 100%. It is just totally. It's too fucking long.
It's bloated, yeah, 100%.
It's bloated. That's a great word for it. The songs that are great, 100%. But there's just filler.
And they kind of and the filler kind of like it's redundant to the stuff that's good, but just not as good. So it kind of just makes it feel like like both of it kind of takes both of like it'll take the good song down with it a little bit, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then
I think the problem is they if they would have done this 5 years later, after some of the next few albums, maybe. Totally. But with this being another concept album, after American Idiot, which was like the concept album, it was like you did this, and it was perfect. And it's very evident you're trying to do this again over here.
Totally. It's almost like It's almost like it was like their sophomore record again. You know what I mean? Like so many bands have a hard time. If they come out banging with a really amazing first record, it's really hard to follow it up because how do you not make it kind of just a bit of the same from before, but with a little less of like the newness? You know what I mean? So like, if you were to hear this record without ever hearing American Idiot, you would look at it and be like, that's a fucking amazing record. But having come off American Idiot, you like can't help but compare it. So and anyways, there's good stuff on it. One of my favorite songs is Before the Lobotomy, so that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
It's
a slower track, I believe. I think doesn't it start slower and then kind of pick up?
It starts slower, but then it fucking down. Yeah. It's cool. It's got some good stuff on there. The end is really fun.
So cool. While I was just looking up the track listing just to see everything else, I did see the track listing for Bullet in a Bible, which is the live American Idiot album. Just going back to what we talked about earlier, King for a Day is on there, and that's where they played it on that tour, and it was King for a Day, and it kind of went into Shout, and that was like the whole thing.
Oh yeah,
so
totally,
and it fucking amazing. So
amazing.
I've seen it live, but King for a Day, fucking great song. But for me, like oddly enough, talking about how why the fuck are you doing another concept album right after American Idiot? You don't become the concept album band unless you have those ideas. There's only one band that I know that does like back-to-back concept records that works, and they're called Marianas Trench.
Oh hell yeah, nice.
Yeah. And like the first album, kind of not.
That's
so
not
much,
where I
thought
like, you were going. That's great.
Yeah. But like all their albums are kind of like it's like a story and everything. But the albums themselves have that theme, and like it sounds weird, but like all the songs on the album sound similar. Mm-hmm. Where it's like, okay, I hear a song, I'm like, oh yeah, this is from this album. It has that vibe to it. Whereas 21st Century Breakdown at points just feels like, let's throw this song in there because we need another song.
Yeah, totally.
But, kind of talking about how it's a concept album and it's not that great. I mean, I'm still picking 21st Century Breakdown, which is the album opener.
Yeah, totally. It's a great song.
Yeah. There's a few that I was kind of thinking about, but 21st Century Breakdown I think is just it's not a fun song. None of the songs on the album are really that fun. But 21st Century Breakdown I think they did a really good job on, even though that opening piano thing comes back later in the album and makes me violently angry. Because it opens up this album with like a doon doon and like a certain tempo, and then later on at the end of the album it does that same thing, but like in a faster tempo, but it doesn't sound like they re-recorded it. It's just the same thing, just sped up, and I'm like, you couldn't fucking just go in there and doo doo, come on.
Yeah. I think it's on See the Light that it comes back. Yeah, for sure. It's got its ups and downs. There's some good stuff on it. I will say another good band that does pretty much all concept albums that is good is a band called The Sword. They have a whole like mythology to all their records, and there's like lore and shit. It's kind of like playing a FromSoft game, listening to the albums. You have to like go back and you're like, oh, you'll appreciate it a lot more if you know the lore.
Well, I mean, and that's also like, it's not like Coheed and Cambria.
Yeah, it's similar to that, but I mean, I like some Coheed, but not.
But I think like Coheed goes like that extra fucking level, and they're like, hey, here's also the companion comic book.
Yeah, 100%.
There's a whole thing. So this next track, there's a few on here that we could take out if we want to, if we don't want to. This is Don't Want to Know If You're Lonely. It was released, I guess, as a single. It's a cover of a Husker Du song. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we take it or leave it. It's not really a wild card because it wasn't on something else. It was just released as its own thing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I feel you. I listened to it. I had never heard it before. I mean, cool. But yeah, it was good. It's good. I mean, Husker Du, Green Day, or Billy Joe especially. I don't know about the rest of the members, but they love the Midwest, Minneapolis scene. He takes a lot of songwriting cues from the Replacements. Just some of their lyrical style and stuff like that. So Husker Du is like where the Replacements were really big fans of. So it's like all kind of a lineage there. So it's probably just a bit of homage and what he loved listening to when he was younger. So
yeah, this is. I mean, it's
cool.
Yeah, it's not one of the choices from an album. It is just as you see over here in the nice pink non-album song.
There you go.
Because it's really not on anything else.
Yeah,
the
throw it in.
Yeah,
these. Oh no.
There are 3 albums on this list that I had to fucking dig to find something to pull from.
Yeah, I hear you, man.
And they're not all in a row right here.
No,
I'll
I
tell
know.
you that.
I know.
But
it's very obvious that this was. I mean, whatever. Yeah, we'll get into it.
like, so the next 3 albums are all we could have done the box set, which is Uno, Dos, Tre, Cuatro, which is then with like a documentary, but I felt like that wasn't the same as a compilation because that is still 3 separate albums. Just
and
but,
they're long. They're not like short albums necessarily.
Yeah. You know? But as you can see over here, so Uno, Dos, Tre, get it because the
Tre.
Yeah, September 2012. November 2012, and then December 2012 because it got pushed up because Billy Joe went to rehab. It's just 3 it's 3 fucking separate Green Day albums that all kind of sound slightly different, but it's essentially like we have all these songs and we don't want to pick one album, so we're doing.
It was in theory, I like the idea of like so they went kind of like, let's go so far away from the 21st Century Breakdown and the American Idiot thing to the point where they did a tour where they only played songs from these 3 records, and they kind of talk about it in Quattro, where like it was pretty much like them being, they played all small rooms. It was pretty much like them being a new band again in a lot of ways, and kind of having to like prove themselves to a crowd again, even though, and especially because all these people think they're seeing Green Day and they're seeing all, you know, I think they would come out and do
just
an
singing
encore.
songs that they've probably never heard.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because if you do this after Uno comes out, you haven't heard Dos and Tre yet, so like it's
yeah
exactly.
And so I think they probably came out and did encores of like the song, you know, some songs people wanted to hear.
It sounds like when like comedians will often do this when they're trying to make new, like they're trying to build new material for like an hour, like a recorded thing. So I remember a few years back, like probably like almost 9-10 years ago now, I got a notification from our local comedy club, which seats like 300 tops.
Sure.
And it was Sundance weekend. And it was like, Kevin Hart's doing a show tonight.
Whoa.
And like this is well after Kevin Hart is the biggest fucking comedian in the world.
Hart.
And it's Kevin Hart is doing a show here tonight. And I bought tickets, and just this tiny little club, and he came out, and it was just like, I'm building material for my next big special, so that's what I'm doing tonight. Is all this new material. We're gonna see if it works.
Yeah.
You know, and that's almost what this sounds like. Where it's like we're doing these smaller rooms, and we're playing this new stuff. You know, we want to see how it works. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I think it was a rough time for Green Day in general. I think, you know, like they might have been partying a little too hard.
Yeah.
It
was right after Dos, or it was right after Uno when they were on the iHeartRadio Music Festival.
Yeah.
And that was like happened. When if you don't remember the story for anybody watching, they were performing in the iHeartRadio Festival, which I think was after Uno. But it was, you know, this big ass festival, and it was like on the internet and everything. And at one point they had a timer that was like, hey, you guys are supposed to finish in like 5 minutes. And Billy Joe was just fucking grabbed the mic, and he's like, this is fucking bullshit. We're Green Day. They're giving us a timer. Fuck this. They didn't give a timer to Justin Bieber. Fuck Justin Bieber. And he threw the mic on the stage, and he ran off. Like, he walked off.
He smashed his guitar up and everything, and then ran off.
And then he went to rehab.
You know, I here's the thing, like, go to rehab if you need to go to rehab. But like, I didn't necessarily think that like, I felt like that was like 2012 was like the beginning of, you know, reactionary internet commenting and things like that. I think that whole thing got blown way out of proportion.
Oh yeah.
You know, fuck Justin Bieber. You know, like, I don't know, like, there's some warranted something. He said some good points in the little speech he has. He obviously overreacted. There's probably contracts involved. I get it.
100%.
But like, you know, if you need to go to rehab, that's fine. I don't think he was necessarily messed up on stage. I think he was just angry.
Oh yeah, no, and like the thing is the whole rant. He doesn't seem like he's, you know, fucked up.
No, he's perfectly coherent. They played a good show right beforehand. You know? But Anywho, go to rehab. If you got to go to rehab. Yeah, these are weird records. So let's just go through our picks real fast. Because I think there's some good songs, but they ultimately just feel a little hollow to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
This Uno has one of my least favorite Green Day songs on it.
Nice.
But before I say what it is, what's your pick?
It's hopefully it's not your least favorite. It's called "Oh Love."
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay, good. I mean, I did have to pull a little hard from this one.
Yeah.
This is the opening track.
I'm not even gonna fucking find another song because that was also my pick.
Okay, good. That's fine. Just let it be.
Yeah.
It's I think the opening track of the record. It's got it's got a little bit it actually has a little bit of 21st Century Breakdown's feel to it actually.
Yeah.
But
it is actually the out of all three albums, it's the album closer, but it was the first single.
There it is.
Oh Love is my favorite song from all three of these albums.
I think me too.
And I think if you took these three albums and you cherry picked 12 songs,
yeah, you could probably make a pretty
good. You could make a pretty good record.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't be. It still probably wouldn't beat their first four.
No.
Plus American Idiot.
No, it would still be lower on the tier of Green Day albums, at least in my opinion, and probably your opinion. But it was just too much. But yeah, my least favorite, fucking Kill the DJ. What the fuck?
I knew it was Kill the DJ.
What the fuck are you doing?
So what's interesting is that I wonder if that was trying to be an homage to the Smiths. But for a modern Green Day era, but it's so sleazy and lame, and the lyrics are so bad. Ugh, it's so bad. And again, it's funny. It was right around 2012, 2013. I do remember this very specific energy of at music festivals, so much electronic music started to penetrate into the mainstream. And this is when I was DJing and making electronic music. And so in the Bay Area, for instance, Outside Lands, I remember in 2011, there was, Dead Mouse and it was I remember I saw Dead Mouse and then the Strokes. And that's such a weird, I don't know. There's just there was kind of these older, raw rock, straightforward instrumental bands were kind of clinging to popularity while EDM was coming up and just totally taking over record sales, and was so much more adapted for the internet. So I remember seeing the Foo Fighters, and Dave Grohl went on this big long rant about having backtracks and stuff like that, and
which he just did recently again and pissed off all the Swifties.
I get it. It's musical integrity and stuff, but it's dude, it's totally fine if people want to go dance the Dead Mouse. He's also really good at what he does.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I'll be honest. Growing up, I was very much one of those. Electronic music is fucking bullshit, man. If you're not holding an instrument, that's not real music. And and now I just look back at that kid and I cringe. Yeah. Because totally. There's so many fucking bands that have either just electronic music or have electronic stuff in their music. One of my favorite bands now is Enter Shikari, and some of their older stuff is fucking very much, it's fucking punk metal with EDM beats and everything, and those are some of my favorite fucking songs.
Totally.
But 2012, different time.
I just remember this feeling of those bands. I saw Third Eye Blind around this time, and I remember them being very we're a fucking rock band, dude. And you're all right, it's great. We love your music. You don't have to defend yourself. Just play the fucking music. Anyways. Okay, so let's go through and move right along here. Yeah. Dose for me, I'm going to do Stop When the Red Lights Flash. I see how we're going to be all the same. The same.
Possibly.
Okay, I'm gonna change it to Wow, That's Loud then. That's my other one. The Dose feels very ha, fuck you, we're punk rock. There's a lot of loud and obnoxious songs, but it's fun.
Yeah. Dose also has one of my other least favorite fucking Green Day songs.
What is it?
Which, I just saw the name on here and forgot it because it's so. Oh yeah, Fuck Time.
Yeah, it's a bad song. It's a bad song.
Baby, it's fuck time. No one wants to fuck you.
Man.
Come on.
No one. Yeah, come on now.
And then Trey. I mean, let's before you just start typing what you have, and let's see.
All right.
Oh, cool. All right then.
All right, good.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I like 8th Avenue Serenade. That's kind of like it's like almost feels like it's like they're kind of throwing back to like a 10,000 Smooth or something like that.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Those were honestly 8th Avenue Serenade was one of the only songs on Trey that after listening to it a couple times, I heard again and I was like, oh yeah, okay, this one.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. They're pretty forgettable. Is really the problem.
everything else was just. Yeah. The next track here, Xmas Time of Year. Once again, non-album single that was released, right before
Everyone's
Christmas.
got to
in
have a Christmas
2015.
song.
Yep.
You know.
So every playlist has to have a Christmas
Make that
song.
money. Make that money. You know what I'm saying?
So the next album, Revolution Radio, I completely fucking missed when it came out.
Me too. 100%.
Like,
what's
I
funny
think
is
I heard that it came out.
I thought this was the COVID one. It's not. Father of All Motherfuckers is the COVID one.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Wild
Oh,
card.
hell yeah. Sorry. Oh my god. I feel like I forgot one too.
I forgot a
Where are
wild
we?
card. This is my wild
Hell
card.
yeah.
It's my
Nice.
Green Day shirt. It's actually right after Trey, so.
I forgot one way back too. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
I gotta
no problem.
I gotta jump into. We'll go
No
back for it.
problem.
Yeah,
But
I
my
go for
wild
it.
card that I listen to almost on a weekly basis now, I Run New York
Hell yeah.
from The Lonely Island featuring Billy Joe Armstrong.
It's so wild. It's
And
so funny.
that is, it's from their album, The Whack Album, which came out on July 7th, 2013. It was not released as a digital short, so there's not a video for it, but the premise of I Run New York is Andy Samberg is the mayor of New York, and it opens up with him in like a shitty voice being like, there's a lot of rappers that say they run New York, but this is simply not true. I wrote a song about what it's really like. Please, he's like, please don't listen to the profanity. Like, apologize for the profanities in advance. And then it goes into like a rap song, and Billy Joe Armstrong does like the chorus talking about,
The hook.
I run New York, and it's a pain in the ass, and it's a shitty town. Like, yeah, it's. I'm a big comedy music person. Like, especially Lonely Island. Like Lonely Island does incredible. Like, probably the best comedic music. Weird Al, classic and everything. And I Run New York is just. It's been one of my favorite Lonely Island songs for a long time because of Billy Joe.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is This is my first real wild card.
That's great. We were just blazing through all the good stuff. I totally did not.
Yeah.
I forgot about this. This is from 2007. This is Working Class Hero, the John Lennon cover.
I thought you were going the Simpsons theme.
I mean, shout out to the Simpsons theme. I remember seeing that in the movie, but to me, like, this is the version of this song. I think so much of John Lennon stuff, and John Lennon might be an interesting one to do at some point. Or maybe McCartney, maybe just like Beatles members, but
I legitimately thought of like, oh, what if we did a McCartney one? That's gotta be 300 goddamn songs.
That's true. There's
like,
probably obnoxious. I mean, there's so
Lennon
much wings.
stops in 1980.
Yeah, Lennon's probably the one because it's doable.
Yeah.
But anyways, there's so many Lennon songs that are amazing lyrics, but I find other people's versions of like. Have you ever heard the we should just save this for that episode. But have you ever heard the Perfect Circle cover of Imagine?
I can tell you, if you ever say, have you ever heard this A Perfect Circle song, it's going to be a no.
Okay, right on.
Yeah.
Anyways, there's a great cover of Imagine by them. But yeah, anyways, I think when I think of this song, I just feel like Green Day's version of it is just the version. It's so much more like dark and heavy and feels like the weight of the working class hero. It's great. John's is kind of contemplative and acoustic and kind of melancholy. There's just like with Trey's like it's like a big waltz. It's really heavy. So it's good. I love it.
Fuck yeah.
Okay, cool. Here we are, Revolution Radio. Jumping back to that.
Yeah.
You're right. I missed this album entirely as well.
100%. Yep. I went through and I was like listening to it again, and it was kind of like Uno Dos Tre, where I listened to it a couple times and there was only like one or two tracks that stood out. Mm-hmm. But instead of being like, oh, this is shit, it was just like, okay. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. That was my general feeling about it too.
Yeah.
they experiment with a little bit of sound stuff on here. Like it seemed like they were doing a couple, like trying to be a little more Strokesy on some stuff, trying to be a little more like Ramonesy on some stuff. So you know, you gotta mess around. You're getting older, doing your thing. I'm gonna do a weird pick from this one that's actually from a movie that Billy Joe was in.
Actually, just tried to find that movie to download it. I'm having a hard time.
It's called Ordinary World. I don't know I don't know where I watched it. I think I watched it in a hotel.
Yeah.
Somewhere. And it's not a great movie, but it's also not bad. It's just kind of like one of those movies where you're like, it kind of feels a little out of time. It's like, it feels like it's like trying to be like an Adam Sandler movie in you know, modern day or something like that. But it's fine. It's an alright movie. And the song's actually good. And I think the song is better when you've seen the movie and then you listen to it, because it's got kind of like, oh, it's kind of sad. It's good.
Yeah. So I went with Still Breathing, which was a single on the album, which I didn't realize until looking at it afterwards. But as I was listening to the album, this was like the song that kind of, you know, played back to me a few times, and I was like, oh yeah, fuck yeah. There were actually a couple where I went back to listen to thinking maybe those were my pick, and Still Breathing was the one that I went with.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So greatest hits, God's favorite band. Oh yeah, there you go. Jump in.
It's Wild Card. So after Revolution Radio.
Oh, Demolicious.
Well, no, I mean, no, that's, you know, just a demo album. But
yeah,
after Revolution Radio, between that and Greatest Hits, God's Favorite Band, shortly before God's Favorite Band, the Armstrongs with If There Was Ever a Time. And the Armstrongs is essentially a punk rock supergroup with Billy Joe Armstrong and fucking Tim Armstrong from Rancid. And I had never actually listened to this song before until today. I think I'd heard that they did something together, and I didn't know if it was like a full album or what. Apparently it's just this song.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, I listened to it today, just a great song, and they share vocals on it, which is the reason that I wanted to throw this in as a wild card, because it's if you've never listened to Tim Armstrong sing, it's a word for it.
It's like
he's got a very, 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 very unique voice. But yeah, and him and Billy Joe they each do a verse, and then they kind of work on the chorus together. Just a good little punk rock song, So, but yeah, I listened to it today a few times. I put it on the first time, being like, oh, what does this sound like, and then just listened to it on repeat for a little bit.
Nice. No, it's a great one. Tim Armstrong is he also in the Transplants, or is that the other guy from?
No, he's in Transplants. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So it's so unique.
Also, very it is Transplants, apparently.
Okay.
It's not the Transplants. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. But, right on. Yeah. Okay, we're on to the compilation Greatest Hits, God's Favorite Band. Kind of a funny album title.
2 songs to choose from. Once again, kind of like international super hits. Oh wow! Actually, I didn't even realize this. I didn't even know this was on fucking Revolution Radio, because my pick from God's Favorite Band is Ordinary World featuring Miranda Lambert.
There you go. So I think that the version that's on is the Revolution Radio. Does it have Miranda Lambert on it? I guess maybe it does.
Does it?
I don't think she's credited, but maybe. Yeah, let me look. Right on. Maybe so.
Let's see here.
Yeah, she's not credited on it.
But is she on that one?
I'd have to listen back.
Because I thought this was like it was one that it was a separate release with Miranda Lambert, like a re-recording.
It feels like it's a re-record. Yeah, it is. It's more instrumental. I think the Ordinary World is just him on an acoustic guitar, maybe with like some backing violin or something. But
music written by Billy Joe Armstrong, new duet featuring Miranda Lambert.
There you go. Cool. Yeah. All right, there you go. Well, I think that counts. There you go. Well, and then I'm gonna go Back in the USA then, because that's the other one, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, and I gotta make that tiny here, that text. Yeah, going back to Macy's Day Parade.
Totally.
Fucking sucker for a goddamn acoustic track.
There you go.
And the way, like, with Miranda Lambert, it feels almost like a kind of country-ish, which you don't necessarily hear from Billie Joe a lot. Which I'm not a country music fan, but occasionally,
Me neither.
You know.
Yeah, the vibe. Yeah. I can get with the vibe. Okay, cool. Now we're on to Father of All ... aka Father of All Motherfuckers. I'm gonna go for the title track on this one. Yeah, I don't love this album either. I mean, you know, there's some stuff. It's for me. It just doesn't really stick out. I think. Oh, there you go. My bad. Whoa, my bad.
I had to look at the timing. Yeah, this is I think my last one here.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Now you've actually put the wrong one on here. Yeah. So right before Father of All Motherfuckers, I had actually not listened to this. I'd never really heard it. The Long Shot.
Nice.
Which is another one of Billie Joe's side projects. I had never heard. Yeah. I'd never actually heard of until looking at this list. But kind of looking at their albums and stuff, I heard Love Is for Losers from the album Love Is for Losers. And honestly, the first vibe I got from it at the beginning was, oh, this sounds like Butch Walker. I don't know why, totally. But I fucking love Butch Walker. And I thought the song was just like really, really great. And it's one that I'm definitely going to go back to. But yeah, this is going to be my last wild card here is Love Is for Losers by The Long Shot.
Nice. I like it.
Which, yeah.
That's good. Check them out. Okay, cool. Well, then on Father of All, I'm going for Father of All. So there we go. Title track.
Isn't that the opening track?
Yeah, I believe so.
Oh god, I fucking hate this song. So much. Like, I remember hearing this and I was like, I'm not gonna like this album.
Oh no, exactly. I mean, to be honest, I didn't give this album maybe as much time as it was as it was due, but it was just it was just the only one that it really had, like, I don't know, it seemed like it had something going for it, I guess, but it just wasn't really my thing.
I went with Sugar Youth because that
one stood out to me too.
Yeah, it was a song that I hated the least. So when I say there are 3 albums that I had to fucking fight to find something, it was Dose, Trey, Father of All Motherfuckers.
Yep, I agree. Definitely not my favorite.
Yeah, and then the next 3 songs, and you might have 1 or 2 wild cards here. The next one is Dreaming, which is actually a cover.
Yep.
Once again, non-album song.
Is it like Kate Bush? Who is it covering? I forget. I'll look it up.
No, I want to say it was older than Kate Bush.
Okay, right on.
Discography. I'm on the wiki on my phone here. Promo singles. Dreaming. Blondie cover.
There it is. Okay.
Yeah, it's a Blondie cover.
It was one of those like banging girl rock.
But yeah, Dreaming, Blondie cover, which once again you can take it or leave it on here. It's just kind of released online as a song.
Yeah, throw it on there. Yep. It's good.
Here Comes the Shock, non-album single that they put online.
Yeah.
In 2021, Pollyanna, same thing.
I like Pollyanna better than Here Comes the Shock,
mm-hmm.
but either way,
Yeah. And then, unless you've got another wild card, which I don't, I think maybe you.
I'm all used up. I'm good. Yeah, I had one I was potentially going to throw there on, but okay. I think I'll leave it off.
Okay. And then our last one here is their most recent album.
2024 this year.
Saviors came out in January this year. I don't know about you, but like, fucking return to goddamn form, Green Day. Jesus Christ, this album's great.
100%. Yeah, it is. I think it's totally enjoyable from start to finish. I think there's like some cool, like subtle transgressions into like alternate forms of Green Day that we haven't heard before, like mm-hmm. on One-Eyed Bastard and stuff like that. like where they're doing some kind of different stuff, which I think is fun. And yeah, I think
One-Eyed
there's just
Bastard. Also, how do they not get sued by Pink? But whatever.
Oh, absolutely. It's so it's so the same. But whatever. Fun. Yeah, someone called that out. I forget what I was watching a YouTube video and it was like a breakdown of it. But yeah, it's all good. Yeah, it's a good record. It's like not, it's not like I don't know what its lasting impact will be, but it's certainly a lot better than Father of All and Revolution Radio, and then I would say Trey and Dose.
You know what? I'll say it now. Best album since American Idiot.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I'll totally give you that.
There's a bunch on 21st Century Breakdown that I liked. But yeah, Saviors as a whole is their best album in the last fucking 20 years now.
Yeah, I would say 21st Century Breakdown has higher highs, but I think as a full album package, that I agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with I don't know if it was the first single I'm gonna go with Dilemma.
Okay.
Great tune. They seem to really like it. I know they're playing it. They're like on a lot of promotional material for their tour and stuff like that. So I saw them do it live on I think it was Howard Stern, and it was a really good rendition of it, which was cool.
Okay. Yeah, well then we don't have a matching one at the end because I'm gonna go with Bobby Socks.
Hell yeah, that's fantastic.
Once again, I mean, I'm a softie, and it's a love song, and I like it.
I like it a lot.
And it sounds different enough from other Green Day songs, but it still sounds like that's okay. You're in your wheelhouse. You're in your Duffy, and just a great song, Bobby Socks.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's nice to end on a nice little even to high note here with Saviors. I think they really like they're just having fun. I think maybe they've shed some of their they don't have to be anything at this point. They're Green Day. They've officially achieved
They're
legendary
Green
status.
Day. You don't have to be anything but fucking Green Day. And
Totally.
Yeah. And it's like I was a little worried for Saviors when I first heard The American Dream Is Killing Me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, like, going back now in the with the entire album, actually I almost picked that song. But when I first listened to it, that was like the first single, and I was like, it almost sounded like, I'm like, are you guys trying to do 21st Century Breakdown again? Like, are you going back for the, like, my life, like, this country sucks? Because I get it. It does. I've lived it for the past 20 fucking years now.
We've done it, yeah.
But then, the next song after that on the album is Look Mono Brains, and it's like, oh, yeah, cool. The American Dream Is Killing Me in the space of the album. Actually really dig. As that first single, I was worried.
I totally feel that. I was also like, are you guys doing another concept album, or are you gonna do are you gonna try and take on the Trumpians? Because it just doesn't feel like, I feel like you're just gonna, if anyone tries to do that in that way, you're just gonna end up being the cheese wads. Like, it's gonna just not work. I don't think
I was a little worried, but yeah, turns out I did not need to be.
Great. Yeah, no, it's a good record. Hell yeah, dude. Well, that was a serious saga. I think putting together this playlist is just a cool retrospective on and like seeing the progression of their journey is it's had some ups, it's had some downs, but I think ultimately looking back, it's just like, holy shit, what a discography. It's pretty cool.
There's almost 10 years there where there were albums.
Yeah. Flawless victory.
Yeah. It really does. I mean, kind of just coming up here, fucking Dookie through, like, fucking look at this goddamn run.
Yeah.
Dookie, Insomniac, Nimrod, Warning. You had a fucking greatest hits after those 4 albums alone in 2001, and then they released American Idiot.
Yep. Amazing.
And then I almost don't even want to count that, but I will. Really, this whole thing is like, what?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. I mean, and it's all right. It's all right for your aging. You're probably having a family during that time.
Yeah.
What do you have to say that's like rooted in punk rock and stuff in some of those cases, you know what I mean? Like, and then you got to do some exploring, you got to go to rehab, you know, it's kind of the rock and roll journey, you know. It's all right, but hey, here we are.
So let's come down here, and I don't think that this actually shows everything. Yeah, so, well, actually, let's add 10 more rows to the bottom. Cool. So now we get to see everything on the screen here. So, yeah, as for the rest of the things that we kind of cut out, these are all of the other things. What other, honorable mentions do you have from here?
Let's see. Holy Toledo is a cool one. That was it sounds kind of like Saviors, actually, some of that.
Okay.
Songs, which is cool. So maybe they were just getting back to that a little bit. And then it's not, Spotify has it as a weird thing, but there's other Pinhead Gunpowder that I like.
Yeah, so when I was making this list, I was doing it off of like the Wikipedia listing, and then looking at Spotify and Apple Music. They have things either listed as an album instead of an EP, or like there's different things. So yeah, it's the Pinhead Gunpowder stuff gets a little confusing, just because of the cadence of releases at times.
Yeah, but there's an EP that's just called 7" on Spotify. I don't know. I think it's probably got some other sort of title. But there's a song on there called "On the Ave" that was the first ever like non-Green Day Billy Joe song that I heard, and it's a great tune. So
I want to say that is the one listed as West Side Highway EP.
Yeah, that could be.
But yeah. That was one that was like really like, okay, is this the right, like, what is this one? Or
shout out to the West Side Highway, by the way. That's in Berkeley/Oakland.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Okay, yeah. So I think one has, or on Wikipedia it's the West Side Highway EP. On Apple Music, Spotify, it's 7", but it's got West Side Highway as the first song, and then Anniversary Song, then On the Ave, and On the Ave version 2.
Version 2.
So,
so I specifically like version 2 better. Okay, yeah. But yeah, whatever. Interesting they did a song with U2. I forgot about that, but now I kind of remember it.
Yeah.
Back in the day. It's cool, I guess. Whatever. Bono doing Bono things. You know.
Yeah. I never really got into Foxborough Hot Tubs, but
yeah, me neither.
I do remember the first Network album and being real confused because it was 2003.
Totally.
I was like, the fuck is this? And then, later on realizing, oh, it's just Green Day, but they're doing like, like a new wave thing. And there were a couple songs on there that I dug. But I think for honorable mentions for me on this, there's a few things on the No Fun Mondays. Billy Joe was kind of putting out cover songs during the pandemic, and just trying to like keep himself sane and try to help everybody else stay sane. He did That Thing You Do, which is just a classic fucking song.
It is.
I don't give a shit if it's from a movie. It's a perfect song.
It is. His sons were on this record, I think.
Yeah.
Like, he was doing it with his family. So that's cool.
And then the last one on here, the Boo EP, which is like him and his family. I tried listening to today and just no thank you.
No, thank you. Yeah, I think it's just hey, let me have my kids.
We're gonna do stuff. Yeah,
and then also like here's a college fund for you because it'll get enough downloads that you can go to college.
Yeah. Actually, no. When I looked it up on fucking Spotify, it doesn't even have the list of, or it doesn't even say how many listens.
Oh, interesting. So
yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe not then. That's fine. That's good.
And then
good.
I mean, for me, the favorite son I talked about earlier is one that I almost put as one of my wild cards.
I remember when it came out specifically.
Yeah.
And I remember like being like, oh yeah, hell yeah, let's go. And them talking about, good stuff.
But fucking that. Those are our playlists here. Like I said, we will post them on. I'm gonna post them on the Storymoders, and then probably my personal. Gage will post them wherever he would like.
Absolutely.
But let us know what you think about the playlist. Let us know what we got wrong here, what you would have swapped out on, Nimrod, or, fucking yell at me and tell me why Father of All Motherfuckers is your favorite Green Day album.
I'm sure there's people out there.
Fucking block you. If there are, there shouldn't be. Jesus Christ. But yeah,
man.
thank everybody for sticking around here. This is, a bit longer because Green Day does a lot of fucking shit. So much. But Gage, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks for thinking of me when you thought of this project. It's really cool, and it'll be interesting. We'll ruminate on some other artists to do, and explore some other discographs.
Discographs. Like I said, I did that one for Charlie Simpson, and like maybe I don't know, that might be one of those things where like maybe you listen to that, you do one for him, and then you give me an artist that you like that I haven't really listened to. Like I think that could be a cool thing too.
That would be cool because it'd be cool to like learn some new.
Oh, exactly.
Deeper stuff from people. I mean, certainly even just doing this, I learned some more deeper cuts from Billy Joe's thing. So
100%. Like I said, I'd never heard of the Long Shot, and now I'm just gonna go and listen to like their shit for a while because that's just that's like the perfect kind of almost like pop rock that I like.
100%.
So
cool.
But
well, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Gage, thank you so much. Your Queens of the Stone Age shirt, my Don Broco.
Yes. Excellent.
The shirt barely fits me, but
this was from. I went and saw them. Was it this year? I guess it was this year. Good stuff.
Fuck yeah! All right, bye.
Peace, y'all.
We'll see you next week on Storymoders Podcast for something. I mean, more normal, probably about video games.
And check out Neon Pocket Dimension, my podcast as well.
Yep, Neon Pocket Dimension, Neon Pocket Gaming, right?
Neon Gaming Dimension.
Neon Gaming Dimension. Sorry.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's just our game. Yeah, exactly. Yep. That's our gaming content show. And twitch.tv/Neon Pocket Dimension. You'll see all our streams. It's good stuff.
Gage works with our good friend Jacob Jesus. They're on Neon Pocket Dimension and Neon Gaming Dimension. Do great fucking work. Follow them on Twitch, on Twitter. Follow the podcast. Subscribe to it on YouTube. Yeah. Everything. They're great people. I love them. Gage, thank you so much.
Hell yeah. Thank you.
See you next time, fucking music fans, discography dorks. Bye.
Let's do it. Peace.